How's it going, Preston Outdoors fans? Welcome back to another video. In this video, this is the third video of the 3-video series that we're talking about how I put together and make my homemade jigs. Video number 1, we talked about how we're going to pour the lead, insert the hook, and all that kinds of stuff. Video number 2, we put paint and the brush guard, glued the brush guard in there on the jig. And here in video number 3, I'm going to show you how you skirt the jig and kind of tell you a little bit that I've learned how I like my skirts made in general and stuff like that. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel here at Preston Outdoors. Also go to Instagram and Facebook. Look up Preston Outdoors on both those social media platforms. Give me a follow, it'd be greatly appreciated. And we're going to show you how I make some jigs. Alright, so what we're going to be making here for this first color, we're going to be doing two jigs in this color. We got a black head here with the brush guard. We're going to be making a black and blue jig. So you're going to need a skirting tool. Some of them are plastic. This one happens to be metal that I bought. And then what you're going to need is a little bitty skirt collar. It's like a rubber skirt collar. These come in a different style. I've seen different videos where they are actually plastic and then this piece will come off. This one actually doesn't. It's just attached. So then I take the little skirt collar and I push it over top of this loop here, and then you're going to roll it down here at the end. You can do more than one at a time. I just end up doing one skirt collar at a time. That way they don't get really stretched out from sitting on the skirting tool. So we're going to set that there on the end. Okay, and what like I said, we're going to be making a black and blue skirt. Okay, so I'm going to be making black and blue. So I got these two colors here, 2 tabs of black, 2 tabs of the barred black and blue. And you can, what I normally do is I like to stagger the colors so it makes the jig a little bit more, or the jig skirt a little bit more full in the color combinations. They spread out a little bit. So I'll go, you stack them next to each other. This is going black, blue, black, and then blue again, and I try and line up the tabs. And if you can see this, probably better on this black one, right here at the end, this is where they're all like cut off. There's not strands at the very end here, so that's where you can hold them. And then what I do here is I take this skirting tool, see how it has a little hook. The little hook, I am going to press through all the skirts. It's going to then pop out the back side, and all the skirts just hang there just like that. We're going to press it in. Like I said, we got 4 tabs in there, so it can be a little tough, so I kind of just help feed the strands in there and then pull it really, really slow. You do not want this hook to rip, because it'll rip out the skirts, and then you'll have to switch on and go on the other side. Okay, pull it in there a little ways. Now we have our skirt in there. Now just kind of like, it's like basically this is like a wacky rig tool where you're now going to take this rubber band and you're going to pop it over the top here. Now it's on there. I'm going to pull this out slowly. I'm going to unhook it. Then I'm going to hold with my left hand and hold the skirt here with my 2-3 fingers down there. I'm going to roll this band up the skirt. Okay, you want one side longer than the other, so that's pretty much in the middle. So I'm going to pop it back a little bit. I'll show you here in a minute here why you want one side longer than the other. So this here on the right side is longer than the left side, and that's how we're going to put our jig through. So here we go. We got one side long or shorter over here, one side longer. When you're putting your jig in, okay, you're going to put the hook right in the middle of this and run the hook through the band here. When you're doing this, you don't want your jig, you don't want, like I hold it up like this, you don't want to run the jig through the short side, okay, unless you're going to do a finesse style jig. Okay, what we're doing here, we're not doing a finesse style jig, so we want the long side. You're putting your hook in here through the middle, and I'll explain why you want the long side here in a little bit. You're going to run it through, you're going to pop it out like this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to, as you can see here, there is the bait keeper to hold your baits on the jig, and there's a little ring right here, and the skirting rubber band is going to fit right in this little ring here. So then we're going to work it up. You kind of just got to slowly push its way up, then take I use my fingernail and kind of walk around the jig here and push that collar all the way up to the head. There we go. Now Doesn't look like, it kind of looks like a jig in the shape, but now we still have all these tabs, and now we're going to cut the tabs off at the end. So now I got a little trash pile here of ends and tab ends. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna grab this. You're gonna take scissors. You're just gonna go down a little ways from that tab, cut it off, and you're going to cut every one of the ends off. So if we got 4 skirts or 4 tabs of skirting material here, then you have to cut 8 times, 1 on each end here. Now, here we have our jig. Now what you're going to kind of do here is you're going to look at your skirt, fluff it out a little bit, make sure it's the way you like it. Sometimes these little strands will get crossed up on each other, so I like to look around the head, and if there's some that the strands are crossed over because a piece of the jig, a skirt material, excuse me, ends up over here, there's going to be a little curl here, so I kind of pull those out. We did a pretty good job here of not having that. And then if there was like an opening here, say like this, where there wasn't much skirting material and you can see the band, you can move this skirt around until it's as full as you want it. Some areas it doesn't really matter to the fish, I don't think, but it makes it a little bit more presentable when it sits in your tackle box, I guess. So then we move that around, and there we have it, our black and blue jig. So there you have it. We have taken a jig from just lead and a hook. We've painted it, added the brush guard, and in today's video we have taken some of these, or showed you one of them, but we can now take the skirting material and we can add skirts to make this thing come alive. Like I mentioned a little bit ago, that all these colors are going to catch fish. It's just whatever you have confidence in, and then fishing the moment. With this brush jig, what I've really found before I bought a mold to make these jigs, I wanted something that's very, very versatile. I don't want to have to go out and buy a swim jig, Arky style jig for skipping, a jig for structure. I mean, there's so many different styles of jig heads out there that make you a better fisherman in certain situations. I've taken these jigs, brush jigs, I've flipped them like you would a flipping jig. They skip pretty decently. Obviously not as well as other like design skipping jigs. I've thrown them, the 1/2 ounce ones I've thrown out deep on rocks like you would a football jig. So this style jig head, if you don't want to have a million different styles of jig heads, I really, really like the brush jig. It's good around wood, it's good in weeds, it's good around docks and stuff like that, but just play around with your colors. If making stuff is what you're interested in, like I said, I got the video, I'll leave it in the description and the cards above. Making my own plastics, if you guys want to see that video again, leave a comment below and we can always do that again. But I hope you guys enjoyed these. Again, this video series is something that I didn't get done last year, but this is something I love to do in the spring. Cabin fever for myself has been very, very bad this year, so getting out, making jigs, get my jig box full for the upcoming open water season here in North Dakota and Minnesota. It's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and tune in next time to Preston Outdoors.